Navigating relationships can be a real challenge. A lot of people daydream about meeting someone who will make them feel complete, someone who will finally fill the emptiness inside. We're constantly bombarded by stories of love in movies and books, where it seems like everything depends on finding the one. We spend our time swiping through dating apps, hanging out at bars, and chatting with friends about crushes and potential partners. All of this while we privately hold onto a tiny flicker of hope, wishing for something real and meaningful. But once you're in a relationship, it often doesn't look like those fairy tales. Instead, it can feel like a messy mix of misunderstandings, hard feelings, and unmet expectations. You find yourself questioning whether you should stay, trying to make sense of why things aren't going right, while holding on to the belief that maybe it will get better, even if it's not working. Simone de Beauvoir, the famous existentialist writer, had a lot to say about the imbalances we often face in love. She thought that love was a fundamental part of being human, a deep desire to connect, to be seen, and to be accepted. But this powerful longing can sometimes lead us down the wrong path, into relationships that don't really serve us and even cause harm. Beauvoir believed that this common experience showed us the need for what she called an ethics of love, something she explored throughout her life. She pointed out how love, more often than not, ends up being exploitative. One of the key things she discussed was how society shapes our understanding of love, especially in terms of gender. Men are taught that love is just one part of life, not the whole. They are encouraged to seek success in many areas of life. Women, on the other hand, are socialized to see love as the ultimate goal, often believing that if they aren't successful in love, they are not successful at all. As a result, love becomes a kind of battleground where men seek freedom and adventure and women tend to view love as their path to freedom. This difference in expectations leads to relationships where one partner, often the woman, ends up in a secondary role. The idea of the manic pixie dream girl, for example, is a representation of this kind of relationship, where the woman's role is to help the man find himself, but without having the same freedom to define who she is. Beauvoir saw this as a love built on unequal foundations. Both Beauvoir and other thinkers have warned against putting too much weight on romantic love as the key of happiness. Just like material things or social status, love is a concept that society has created to make us feel good. But when we treat it as a cure-all, it often leads to dissatisfaction and confusion. In his book, The Denial of Death, Becker argued that in today's world, we look to romantic relationships to make us feel special, to give us a sense of purpose and belonging. The problem is the people we turn to for this are also just human, flawed, and anxious. And sometimes, instead of bringing us peace, these relationships end us causing tension and disappointment, as they distract us from confronting deeper fears, like the fear of meaninglessness. What do unhealthy relationships look like? Beauvoir describes two main types of love gone wrong: narcissism and devotion. In a narcissistic relationship, the person is mainly focused on their own needs and only values the other person for the affirmation they can provide. It's about receiving attention and validation while ignoring the other person's true self. This leaves the other person feeling unseen and unimportant. On the flip side, devotion is when someone makes their partner the center of their world, putting all their energy into making the relationship work, even at the cost of their own identity. This is the love is everything fantasy, often encouraged by how women are raised to view romantic relationships. The devoted partner gives up parts of themselves to keep the relationship intact, believing they've been chosen by the other. While this may seem romantic, it can lead to self-neglect and a loss of individuality. Both narcissism and devotion show up in relationships to some degree. While it's natural to want some space or to deeply care for someone, Beauvoir highlights the problem when these behaviors become harmful. It's a sign that the person involved may not fully understand themselves, and this can lead to emotional damage. Beauvoir believed that healthy, ethical love is all about balance. It's not about completely losing yourself or being selfish. It's about creating a partnership where both people support each other equally. Ethical love is walking through life side by side, where each person can give and receive, but never at the expense of their true self. It's about respect, independence, and shared growth. Though Beauvoir's ideas were critical of traditional gender roles in relationships, her view of ethical love isn't limited to any specific kind of relationship. It's about equality, mutual respect, and the freedom to grow as individuals together. Healthy love, according to Beauvoir, is one that celebrates the uniqueness of both partners, where both can flourish without compromising who they are.